how can we still maintain our AAA credit rating when the economic figures are so bad?
Yep, they are bad, Pete, and I knew you'd ask that question, and it took me back a few years to a 6 o'clock news, sitting at the same desk that you're sitting at, and I was beside Mike Willisey at the time, and there was a whole lot of good stuff going on in the economy, and we were just talking about bad stuff all the time. I said to Mike, why is it the good stuff on the economy is ignored? And he looked at me as though I was from the land of Nod. He said, Switz, if it bleeds, it leads. And that's what happens in news, mate. And I think the reason why it's worth talking about, the credit rating agencies have to look through the noise in the short term. And let's take for example, the unemployment number, which you referred to. It'll peak, according to the Treasury, at around 9.25% in December. But if you look at the financial year, that's for the whole period 2021, is 8.75%. This year, it's going to be about 7%. So I think you have to look through it, and that's what the debt rating agencies do. And Goldman Sachs came out to explain why Australia is rated so well, because there's only 11 countries in the world with a AAA rating. USA hasn't got it, Japan hasn't got it, UK hasn't got it. But the bottom line is, as Goldman Sachs said, Pete, the fiscal position of Australia is so strong, they can keep throwing money at their problem. And the big story this week, I thought, was the fact that they could extend JobKeeper all the way to March. And that's part of the reason why there's a very positive outlook for the Australian economy.
Well, I mean, as Chris Richardson on the show yesterday mentioned that, the budget is now doing exactly what it was supposed to be doing. The upside of this, despite, it's not great out there, but the upside is that we came into this in a pretty good position, and comparatively to the rest of the world, we're in pretty good shape as well. But do you find that figure of 9.25% unemployment by Christmas, that's 1 in 10 Australians who won't have a job, is that being ambitious as well? Because that's dependent on the fact that there are no more shutdowns.
Correct. And that is exactly what I'm writing about this morning, is that we have to watch the Victorian situation very closely. It's a quarter of the economy, and apart from the fact we feel for our southern cousins because of the psychological effects of being locked down, the economy needs these guys back and producing and doing their normal stuff ASAP. The Treasury based this on 6 weeks of lockdown. That could be optimistic. I love being optimistic, but it also could be unrealistic. What happens over the next 2 or 3 weeks is going to be critically important for those numbers. If Victoria's locked down for 8 weeks, those numbers will be a little bit worse.
PricewaterhouseCoopers reckons that we won't get to net zero debt until 2060. What do you think about that?
Well, they're accountants. That's the kind of stuff that they would do. But Pete, look at every household in this country carries debt. Yeah. Now, our debt for the government is 45% of GDP. I reckon most Australians would love to think that their loan to the value of their house was as low as 45% of GDP. Most of us carry debt like 60 or even 80% of our personal GDP, what we bring in each year. So, in terms of our international position, it's your ability to pay back debt that's critically important. So if you carry huge debt, well, then that's a problem. Yeah. Australia never has to pay back its debt. So therefore that number is, news headline worthy, but it's not really valuable because we're a country that will always have stuff that we can produce. If it's not going to be mining stuff, it'll be tourism or education. We are one of the best countries in the world, and credit rating agencies are basically admitting it.
Well, I mean, moving forward, the Treasurer said yesterday we've got a mountain to climb, but we're getting ready to climb it now. So what's needed to move forward? What sort of investment? Get these shovel-ready projects going? Because borrowing has never been better in terms of rates.
That's right, exactly right. And that's exactly what's happening, because it's not just the national government, Canberra, it's the state governments as well. They've all got, and Victoria actually announced a few this week, infrastructure projects are going to be critically important going forward, and they will actually drive the economy going forward. And I'll tell you one little thing that a lot of people have ignored. The Treasurer did say yesterday that borders will be opening in January. Now, that kind of shocked me. That kind of implies that, he admitted there'll still be 2-week quarantines, but flights will start again.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason why
Yeah.
Webjet, Flight Centre, and corporate travel. All those stocks went up yesterday on that news. So I think we're going to look. It'll either go one or two ways. And you mentioned the vaccine in that last report. If a vaccine comes through sooner rather than later, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, the US medico, the top medico looking after America with the coronavirus, he said only last week that a vaccine is more likely before the end of the year.
Wow.
If that happens, a lot
Green
of good
shoots
numbers
everywhere.
will come.